So y'all have been hearing me talk a lot lately about health and wellness and how much it is impacting our living environments. And that means everything. I mean, how we live in a house or a building, how we interact with it, how we design it, how we remodel it, how we build it. I mean, there's a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat, and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, work, and play. Join your host, Marla Esser-Close, the Green Home Coach, to learn how everyday green homes work for you, your family, and your community.
Hi, y'all. I'm Marla, the Green Home Coach, and this is Christy Howell. And if you are a regular listener, you've heard Christy on the Everyday Green Home podcast before.
Mm-hmm.
And what's been super, super fun about doing, I think this was our 4th podcast.
What?
I think so. I'll go back and link them all in the show notes so people can hear.
Oh my gosh, I thought we'd only done 2.
Right. Well, we did one before we changed the name of the business.
Mm-hmm.
We did one cool house. And I thought we did one more.
Maybe we did another one.
We did one sitting in the garage of the new house build, but that was a while ago.
Yes. Oh, that's true. We did do those couple at the house. Wow, time flies.
Right. But here's the beauty of that is that I've gotten to see the progression of how you are morphing your business and your way of showing up in Oklahoma and Oklahoma City by what you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been such a joy to be on that ride with you and to watch this all happening.
Well, thank you, because it's been a ride.
Right.
And I appreciate you making that appear so graceful and humbling, because yes, it has definitely been a humbling experience. And I am always thought that I would understand this world a little bit more. I just really, like I said, keep saying I did not know how to engage in it. And so you've been my door that's been wide open to anything and everything green and, just wellness and all of that. So thank you for
Oh my gosh, you're welcome.
being my mentor.
So just to kind of tee it up here, if you've been listening since the last few podcasts, I am hosting one of my business partners every month, and Christy is one of those. So Christy Howell of CRH Design Build, among other names.
We won't use those.
But it's, oh my gosh, it's so exciting that I'm building this group of people that care about how people live in their homes.
Yes.
And I've felt this coming on for a while, and I kept hearing the word bridge or connect.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally hit me that all these people I've been working with, that's what I've been bridging to.
Yeah.
And you're one of the few locally. So that's been extra fun because
Yes.
so many of the other people that I work with are in different states, or I think everybody's in this country.
Mm-hmm. But it's nice to have someone local and connected on another level.
Yes. And so for y'all that don't know, we live in Oklahoma City. I grew up here and moved back almost 6 years ago after living in St. Louis for a long time, where I got really involved in the sustainability culture. Mm-hmm. And there was actually a part of the mainstream culture around green through mm-hmm. some work with the Regional Chamber of Commerce. And so moving here, I knew it was going to be a little bit like going back in time. It has been.
Yeah. But it's almost like you kind of get to see the evolution again.
Yeah. And be a part of it.
Yeah.
So that part's been super cool. And you and I both are discovering that there's actually quite a lot of interest in this, and people, mm-hmm. and for very good reason, because people care about health,
their
and
health,
well-being.
Mm-hmm. Their health, the way they live, their lifestyles, all of it blends into each other.
Yeah, it does. And what's challenging, I think, here is Oklahoma is very conservative, and sometimes that doesn't let people hear the whole story all the time. So I know sometimes we've had to craft that story in a way that's really meaningful to people, but that's really a good exercise for us anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's just part of the education process, is that everyone learns differently.
Yeah.
So You know, some people learn by doing their own research. Some people learn by being told. Some people learn by watching it. Some people learn by
Being a part of
being
it.
it, you know, doing it. So they learn the hard way, like I do. I do everything. I learn the hard way. I do it and then I learn.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with learning while you're doing. So, and we have learned together. We've learned all kinds of things together.
Mm-hmm.
So when we first met, oh my gosh, I just been here not even probably a year.
No, not even a year.
Through the Home Builders Association here, Central Oklahoma Home Builders Association. I was working with the team over there to bring back our professional women in building. So we had an information meeting and you showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Was that first or did we have coffee first?
No, I think it was that. And then we met
for
there and then
coffee.
went for coffee after that.
So I remember admiring all your bracelets.
Which now I wear none. Times change.
So for those of you that have heard me talk about professional women in building before, just hang on. But this is a council of our Home Builders Association. It's also a national council with the National Association of Home Builders. And it is all about supporting women in the building industry, the trades, and all the ancillary industries that go around it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started bringing that group back here,
Mm-hmm.
it was really fun because it brought together a bunch of like-minded women and a couple of guys too.
Yeah. And we really all did not know we were all that like-minded.
Correct.
We just, we were all very different parts of the industry. Some were sales reps, some were designers, some were consultants, some were builders, some were
We had a little bit of everything.
EOs. I mean, everything. Yeah. So it was just kind of part of the association that was inspiring to see.
Yeah.
There were more, I was going to say like A positive people, but we're not all A positive blood types. So that was weird to think.
No, I know what you mean though. We're all go-getters.
Yeah.
And some wonderful relationships, both personal and business, have come out of that first group.
Absolutely.
That group also has been the genesis for Build My Future, which a lot of you heard us talk about that before, our one-day construction career day for high school students.
Mm-hmm.
And from that just came the Construct My Future camp for middle schoolers. So it's like the pebble in the pond.
Mm-hmm.
And you look back and that one drop
Just
has
made all these
amazing
ripples.
Yeah.
And even though they're small ripples, they make a impact.
They do.
They make every little bit of impact that as little as they are, they make all the impact in the world.
Yeah. So, mighty listener, just know, you never know. Somebody you've touched today might show back up in a few years being very different from that encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you have changed my life in the city considerably. And I'm very much, oh my gosh, very happy that has happened. Matter of fact, we even have offices next to each other now.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were like talking to each other every day, and so many of the things were connecting that it just made sense. And
yeah,
I
love it.
I needed to get out of my home office too.
Right. I know. You started in your work life in the design world.
Mm-hmm. Interior design. That's what I got my degree in up at UCO back in, maybe 20 years ago-ish. And worked for design showrooms, worked for a home builder, and that was where I decided to spread more wings. So had my design firm and then moved from one design firm to now CRH. And I'm gradually educating myself as I go along and educate others about my type of builds, which are ICF builds, and my design, which is wellness inspired. So when you bring the design aspect wellness inspired and you build a solid envelope, you really get a healthy home, I believe.
I believe too. So let's clear up a couple of acronyms just in case people aren't familiar with them. I try to do that. So ICF.
Insulated concrete forms.
We should have brought an example for our
video. Have an example.
I have to go get it for you. I love how you describe ICF actually.
I believe that they're life-size Lego blocks, like people size. If you ever wanted to go to Denmark to Legoland, just go build yourself an ICF home. You don't have to go all the way there, although it is still a cool place to go.
Yeah, right?
I would absolutely highly recommend getting there. I know, right? I want to go back. But yeah, basically life-size Lego blocks. And They are constructed of it's a polystyrene, which is like an insulation, 2.5 inches on one side. And then in the middle, you have anywhere from 4 to 18 inches of concrete and rebar and security. And then on the opposite side, whether that's your interior or your exterior side, you have another 2.5 inches of that same insulative material. So really you have
a lot of insulation,
tons of insulation, and insulation is what makes our houses most comfortable, along with the heart, HVAC, the brains, electrical, and then you have your typical plumbing, which we all have to have. But past that, that's the envelope, and bringing the wellness approach to what we bring into the homes makes an ICF home a very solid, energy efficient, healthy oriented, and comfortable home.
Oh my gosh, they're so quiet too.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're really quiet, and still every time I'm in one, I'm like, oh, so
peaceful. It feels very peaceful.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So the thing about ICF homes too is that not only are they super well insulated, they're very airtight. Mm-hmm. And airtight matters for health and wellness. A lot of people look at me like I'm crazy because they're like, but if you're building a really tight house, you're not getting fresh air. The house isn't breathing, which is a misnomer. People, we need to breathe. Houses do need to dry out. That air needs to come into the house for us to breathe, definitely. So oftentimes in a ICF home or something as tight as us, we really want to see mechanical ventilation.
Yep.
And that word or that phrase has scared the pooey out of people for a long time because they hear ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
They do.
But that's not the case at all anymore. I mean, you can get a really expensive one, but you can also get a very reasonably priced one.
Well, if you think about just the basics of what you need to put into a home, such as your HVAC, your plumbing, your electricity, the walls, right, all those things, those at your basics can be extremely affordable. Right. It's all the other stuff we want to put in our homes. We want to have beautiful countertops.
Oh no,
we want to have absolutely stunning backsplashes and expensive light fixtures and gold hardware.
She's talking about my remodel, y'all.
No, your remodel is very, very, very affordable on a lot of levels. But unfortunately, right now, any remodels are always more expensive than new construction. And our industry is just facing a lot of challenges with inflation and stuff. So we just have.
And we had to get really creative. So Christy has hired me, just in full transparency. She has hired me to be a consultant on her build project, which we've already completed. And we really hope to do a lot more.
Well, we have another one coming up.
I know.
Yay. Coming up soon.
But then we started talking about breeding, say that as a verb, some of your design projects. Mm-hmm. My husband and I had come to the conclusion that remodeling was a much better option for us than moving, especially in the current climate of sales craziness. Mm-hmm. And what really brought all this about, I've had so many people ask me, why did you remodel? Because our house is only 6 years old and it's not very old at all. And I'm not crazy about the style, but clutching my heart when I'm watching them rip up all these perfectly good materials. Mm-hmm. That was really hard, folks. And that part of a remodel you just can't get out of. I mean, we salvaged a lot.
Yeah, you salvaged
a whole lot, but we couldn't salvage everything.
We salvaged what we could, and what we could, it got all donated to either Habitat or some location or whomever could use it. I mean, it's better to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Keep it in circulation.
Yeah. Reclaim.
Yeah.
If that's, how we're reusing it, or refurbish it and then reuse it. But we did as much as we could with everything we could.
But the other part of this was when we started thinking about this remodel, so y'all know my husband had some health challenges. And we started during COVID, especially started cooking together and just enjoying doing stuff together. Well, I quickly learned that we do not have a 2-back kitchen. I think that's a real estate term.
2-back kitchen.
2-back kitchen. You got to have 2 rear ends that can be side by side in the kitchen and pass each other. And we had this peninsula that was
very obstructive,
less than 4 feet from the stove. And it was a huge bottleneck in our kitchen. You could not access anything. And I laughed because I think I showed you one day, I could stand in the middle of my work triangle with my arms stretched out. I'm 5 foot tall, folks. So this is 5 feet. And I could reach my refrigerator, my stove, my sink, my dishwasher, of course, with the disposal, and my pantry,
All in
all in the
that.
same circle.
I mean, it was almost, they took ADA and made it a little unreasonable. You have your ADA 5-foot turning radius for a wheelchair. And we just said, we're going to be able to access
We're gonna
this
do it
all
now.
like that.
So our whole driver for this was actually health and wellness, because we spend a lot of time in our home. My husband is primarily working out of the home, and as a retired person, he spends a lot of his projects are centered around the home and everything. And my home office is there. So we're there a lot. And we're like, okay, we got to make this so we can enjoy being here as long as we need to be there. And so we brought Christy in. So now I've gotten to be her client, which I think has been very insightful for both of us now that we've been each other's clients.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier this morning that I've seen for myself some of the things you've been telling me about for a long time, and I've now experienced them. And that's pretty rare. That's pretty amazing that we're getting to do that.
Yeah.
Not very many people get that.
Well, and there's not a lot of people that can probably do that either.
Oh, true.
You got to have reasonable work personalities and relationships and open communication and just all of that.
Communication. You mean that matters in building and design?
No.
Not
What do
at all.
you mean? We just,
Yeah, we can't get away
We
from
talk
that
with our
communication
eyes.
no matter what we do.
oh gosh.
Want to find and sell the value of green homes and features in your clients' projects and homes? I'm Marla Close, the Green Home Coach, and I have built What Makes a Green Home Green audio program just for you. This program offers an easy-to-understand language, audio trainings that are easy to consume on the go, with resource guides to help you absorb the information and reference it easily in your day-to-day activity. Your investment in this green home knowledge could unlock thousands of dollars more in business for your home projects. Check out What Makes a Green Home Green and how it will help you find and sell the value of green homes and features in your clients' projects and homes. greenhomecoach.com/homepro.
So we've done this design, this remodel, as health and wellness oriented and green oriented. We've definitely brought some sustainability factors in there. We've also learned there's some things that have been challenging to do here, because we're having to work with supply chain issues. We're having to work with how well our workforce is educated about certain things. And of course, it's always hard to get somebody to try a new thing or a new habit. And so we've definitely learned some things.
Or you get them to try a new habit and then they think maybe, well, we educate ourselves on a lot of the product that we want to use. And so we want to make sure that the product we're implementing is being used to its fullest capabilities.
Oh, that's a really good point.
So you can put a product in, and if the contractor isn't used to using it, and then they say, well, it's the product's fault. No, not necessarily. That's the educational part, the experience that the contractors may or may not have using some of the sustainable, desirable levels of selections we want.
So case in point, so the floor that we took up, we were only going to take out half the floor, just the part that was impacted from the reconfigured kitchen. And
which was just tile, which is also an extremely hard product to take up.
Dirty,
and
nasty.
messy, gross.
Yeah, really gross. But you got to do it. It's just part of the process. But we also, because we had some damage in our home, we worked with some different professionals on getting that damage assessed and repaired. But in order to fully assess it, they recommended that we pull the floor up in the front half of the house. So we ended up doing that too. Interestingly enough, this was engineered wood plank that was click and lock, but they had glued it down. They glued it down. I cannot tell you, we had several professionals in the house that were just, scratching their head. Why did they glue this down? Oh my gosh. So that was extra messy.
And that was years ago. That wasn't even contractors we're using now. That was
No,
years
but it was only
ago.
6 or 7 years ago.
Right, but still.
Because the house did sit for a while before we bought it. But of course, we did get that floor up and we found the problem. We had a big crack in our slab. So thank goodness we pulled it up because we were able to get that solved and corrected. And I got a whole new floor.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. And it's low emissions and it's beautiful, and it'll stay
Screen
clean
guard.
easier, and it's durable.
Mhm.
And durability and low maintenance is a really big part of our lifestyle
High
right now.
demand.
Yeah.
Yes, very high demand.
Yeah.
Even when people don't demand it, I recommend it.
Right.
Because they're like, this was on my parents' project. My dad was adamant about real wood, real sand and seal finished wood. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It is somewhat sustainable, but it's wood. It's a natural product. So it's just going
no
to,
matter what you put on it.
you can't put a coat on it durable enough to where a scratch from a heel or some little, a rock stuck in the boot, won't potentially do something on it. So, but they love it. They enjoyed it, and they still have an NGBS certified home that is 23% more efficient than a typical stick frame 2,500 square foot home.
And actually, it's probably more than that. That was just what we could calculate.
That's true.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can get with data. There's things that you can't get with data.
And what we quickly learned with your first build project, which was your parents' home and is still, there were trade-offs. And we've learned that with my project as well.
Yep.
There's always trade-offs. And you can't do any of this without trade-offs, because there's nothing that we can touch on the face of this beautiful green planet that is not going to have an impact. So we just got to accept that.
Being flexible, be adaptable.
But understanding your trade-offs and understanding how they're going to impact you is really big. So I have over time developed a much higher sensitivity to chemicals and to dust. And so I've gotten very particular about that. Driving some of our contractors mad because I'm in cleaning between stuff extra.
I prefer a clean job site.
It's like, I can't stand the dust. So it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
I get it. Unfortunately, it's really hard to get them to clean up after themselves daily.
Right. But this was also like, as we were doing your parents' job, we had found all these trade-offs and things that we had to deal with, that we had to find alternative solutions for. And now with supply chain issues, it's even more so. I think our best alternative solution was us driving to Wichita, Kansas for cabinets.
Yeah, that was definitely extremely affordable.
Yeah.
Extremely affordable.
And they were
and
decent cabinets.
They're nice. They're solid quality wood, oak cabinets. And we would have enjoyed a potential pre-finished kind of potential, but we didn't need it. It was not necessary, because we had thrown that idea in there to kind of keep from having all the stain and the lacquer and the smell being introduced into the home. But we found very quickly a way to address that request.
So what she's dancing around.
We had requested to use a more viable min-wax stainable product that had a 250 milliliters per gallon, which is VOC.
Low, which is a fairly low emission product for a stain and sealer like this. And
you need a quality product. You really want a good quality product when it comes to stain and paints. And
because you want the durability. So here's your trade-off, right?
Here's your durability.
Durability versus emissions. We have to have at least some decent element of durability, because we still tend to kick things out.
Right. Well, I mean, just when you live, you don't babysit and lightly touch everything. You just
I babysat in a house like that once where it didn't look like anything was ever touched. It's just spooky.
I bet.
Yeah. No, I want a home we can all live in and enjoy.
So when my contractor decided to not order the material in advance to make sure that we had the requested material for the project, he proceeds to stain, and as I would expect any other client or anyone else to kind of do, is go check on their home to see the progress. And when you go check on your home and you get hit with a big old whiff of what the H is going on here, you're like, wait a minute, this isn't right. This doesn't smell right. First of all, it shouldn't be this strong.
I have a good smeller.
Yes. And my nose is becoming very specialized in some aspects, and which is very crazy. It didn't ask for it, but I'll take it. So, we on a Saturday morning, we're being updated and we have to address it. And what we do in our industry is we address it immediately. We communicate to a contractor, we communicate to the client, and we do everything in our power to rectify an issue that has come up.
And the clincher was we couldn't open the windows yet because the paint finishes had not all cured.
Right.
And in Oklahoma,
The wind is ridiculous.
The wind just carries so much dust with it that
Already.
opening the windows was just not going to hack it.
Mm-mm.
So we did get some
And the
air
contractor
purifiers
was
in
kind
there.
of, when we were doing some of all that, we did have some other challenges, like stinking alarm constantly going off. I never heard it, but she kept telling me, I'm so sorry, the alarm keeps going off. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but the contractors do, and they're annoyed. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm sorry. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Well,
It was grinding day.
but that, we get through that. That's just part of what we have to get through. But back to the whole,
This is why a remodel is so much more challenging than a new build.
than a new build. You know what to expect coming out of the ground in a remodel.
At least somewhat, yeah.
For the most part. But so, yeah,
There's always surprises.
There is always surprises. So when that surprise hit me that Saturday morning, I was like, okay, what do we do? And luckily, because of my wellness coaching and from both Wellness Within Your Walls and Marla's coaching to me, we knew we could off gas. So we chose to find where we could pick up some air purifiers, and we stuck them in the house immediately with everything closed. And I would like to say within 48, 72 hours,
The smell was
it was
much better.
significantly reduced. You could tell there's a hint of it for sure, but it was a pleasant surprise to be able to go through an unexpected issue and come out of it again with a smile and knowing that you have a client that is extremely graceful and understanding and extremely knowledgeable, almost way more knowledgeable than me in this fashion on some regards. I know the construction, I know how to talk to contractors, I know how to pick the design. I'm not necessarily at par level where she is on wellness knowledge.
But don't you think that I think we're discovering a really good kind of yin and yang.
Yeah.
To take those different skills and bring them to bear on a project to get something better than what we might have been able to do before.
Absolutely. I think over the years, I've become more comfortable with being vulnerable to the things that I don't know and being completely more comfortable than what I ever used to be with using my resources and calling and being like, hey, yeah, so I've been doing this for 20 years. I got a dumb question. I mean, well, they're kind of campy every once in a while. We have, brain farts and stuff, and we're going, wait a minute, I got way too much going on in my brain. Can you remind me of this simple topic or simple word? But so, yeah, part of that, we did the off-gassing, we got that situated, and we've continued moving forward.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful project. I'm super
Can't wait
excited to see it finished. It will be completely done by the 18th because we'll have final clean done that day.
So if y'all want to see any of the pictures and the videos from this project, there's a highlights reel on my Instagram account on Green Home Coach. I know you've had some posts on it as well.
Posted a couple things. We just did some of the early posts. So yes, I do have Beth and everyone asking for more photos.
We use the same people for social media. So we're putting, our ultimate goal is to put together like a video series of the entire project from start to finish, along with some commentary of things that you might be able to use in your own remodel and some things to think about. So that'll probably come out in August, September timeframe. And I think we're planning to put it out on both of our
100%.
channels, just maybe not at the same time. So
we want to get more energy from it. And I think my kind of campaign for that might hit a couple months
more on
after
the design
yours.
side. So look on Green Home Coach on Instagram and Facebook, or see, what's your handle on Instagram? It just comes up on
it's CRH Design Build.
There you go. So definitely, if you want to learn more about this, you also can wind back about a year and a half in either one of our social media accounts and see photos from the build that Christy did and we worked on together. When did we finish that one?
That was in 2020. February 2020 was when that one was done. The ICF in Blanchard.
Wow. I can't believe it's been that long already.
And I do have on my website, which has been in the works but it's up and running. And I do have an ICF page, which features that build.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reels or flip photos in there.
And Christy will be up on my partner page once I get those created. I have a new website in the works, and hope to have it out to the world and have Christy and my other partners up there by midsummer 2022, just in case I don't know when you're listening to this. But at any rate, there's a lot to learn and a lot to experiment with in some respects. And that experimentation, like you said, feeling vulnerable enough to do that experimentation and to have multiple inputs and to look at things that are outside of our wheelhouse has been probably the biggest joy of this project so far. Although I can't.
It's scary, but it's joyful.
It is.
And I don't ever jump into a project that isn't like, I like challenges because I know what I'm going to learn something at the end of it. So I looked at your project as a challenge to enter that green remodel world. And even though I had done tons of remodels and probably implement them in a green fashion in ways that I probably didn't even know. So this is helping me
see it,
locate those actual areas and then adjust some of the areas that aren't as sustainable maybe. So like my documentation, like we talked about this morning, when you give an estimate, hey, let's give like maybe a single page of what to expect, what that estimate is, so that if we don't get to go over it verbally together, you have that. But then if we do get to go over it verbally, then you can go back to that notes page almost and say, oh, that's what she said, or, oh, I remember her responding or expressing this or whatever. So just learning things, same thing with the whole VOC materials. It's like, there's going to be another checks and balances documentation to say, hey, we asked for this and moving forward. And then too, to also help the contractors not feel so overwhelmed. I think that's part of our world is that when we push them into this world, they become, wait, I'm a good old boy. I don't really remember, or I don't really want to do that. Or I do because I love working on your jobs, but I don't want to do that because I don't know how to do that. So to give them some of that information up front that helps them feel more comfortable with making that change will help.
So I'm going to put a plug in for a company that isn't even officially a sponsor of mine. Maybe they will hear this and want to become one.
Oh, yeah?
But so throughout the process, we had another entity outside of Christy's organization paint after they had done a lot of repairs in the house. Well, this particular group worked primarily with new homes. Didn't dawn on anybody that they needed to match the paint. After you and I talked about it how many times ad nauseum. So sure enough, I get a call. I think you need to come look at the paint. Sure enough, beautiful color, but not the color we wanted. So I said, I'll go buy the paint. I'll make sure it matches. And we found a place that was hidden that we could cut out a little sample. And so I go up to the Sherwin-Williams store. So this is your shout out, Sherwin-Williams. And the people up there were so amazing.
Yeah.
And they just jumped right in, helped me to solve the problem, helped me to get it done. And I actually ran into the lady's boss at another event, like a week or two later. And I was like, thank you so much for having such a wonderful employee that just really made me feel seen and valued and understood our problem and just helped us get it.
We need to get her in PWB.
Yes, we do need to get them. Actually, I've talked to both of them about joining Professional Women in Building, so we need to make some phone calls. So that's my happy story to end on. I suspect that you probably will hear from Christy and me again in another year or two as our relationship and how we work together unfolds. We're let the universe, letting it happen.
I'm at the mercy of the universe.
Absolutely. Well, we'll leave a whole bunch of links in the show notes for y'all to see a little bit more, including our Wellness Within Your Walls certification programs and where you can learn more about that. Highly recommend that for anybody wanting to just start learning how to use this in your home or your business and your practice.
Yeah, I highly recommend it too. I enjoyed the class. I actually got a private class.
I heard.
I loved it. Nani was amazing. So check it out. It's definitely educational and worth it.
And check out social media to see the work.
We're getting it up there. It's an exciting time. Lots of things rolling and happening. So our industry is growing and our projects are growing and the economy is trying to grow more. We're trying to grow more homes.
Well, and the thing I want to wrap up with is that everybody cares about health and wellness. They may not know how to express it. They may not know how their work affects it or it's affecting them, but we all care about it.
Yeah. I mean, even Coldplay, Did you hear that Coldplay has made their entire touring system super sustainable?
Wow.
All of their concerts are sustainable.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
So we're going to leave that open, like for another podcast. What's the difference between health and wellness and sustainability? And yes, they're tightly linked.
Oh, very.
So we'll go with that for now.
Thanks,
Okay,
Marla.
y'all. Have a great green day, and we're signing out.
Bye.
That wraps this episode of the Everyday Green Home Podcast. Get the show notes with all the resources mentioned in this episode. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Want more? Join the Love Your Everyday Green Home private Facebook group for more resources and behind-the-scenes insights. And remember that living a little better and greener is easier than you think.